Fannie Mae's Mortgage Lender Sentiment Survey is out, and it has really three different areas to pay attention to. Three highlights from this report. The first one is top business priorities for 2025. And the top business priorities for 2025, and by the way, this is a survey was taken in Q2 2025. It's an annual survey. And it's interesting to look at how the survey results have changed quarter over quarter and year over year. So, number one priority for lenders is business process streamlining. 37% say that's their focus. Number two, cost cutting at 29%. Number three, consumer-facing technology is 27%. And number four is talent management and leadership. And this has evolved. On the last year's survey, number one was talent, management, and leadership. In 2023, the number one was cost cutting. So same thing in 2022. In 2021, it was business process streamlining. And here's what it looks like in the survey. I'll show you what the survey actually looks like. And you can see the data here. You can see it gives us Q2 of the past 5 years. Here's the top priorities for businesses. It's all really good data. Very interesting data. But you know what? It actually gets more interesting because they then dice the data up by lender size. And so large companies, most large banks, are focused on business process streamlining, followed by cost cutting, followed by customer-facing technology. Now, if we compare that to mid-sized companies, they're also 44%, same, almost as the large companies, of business process streamlining. But number two for them, and a much closer number two, is consumer-facing technology at 36%. And then there's a tie for number three between cost cutting and talent management. But so pretty similar. Where it starts to differ, or starts to differentiate, is what small companies focus on versus mid and large size companies. So for small companies, their number one business priority this year, talent management, and leadership. Is that interesting? So if you're a small company, talent means everything to you. If you're a bigger company, it's more about the machine, the process. People are cogs in the process. People don't drive the process, as evident by, it's the fourth most important, or you could say least important thing on the agenda. But for small companies, it's number one. Really interesting. And then if you look at what number two is cost cutting. Number three is business process streamlining. But where it really starts telling is in some of the lower answers. For example, marketing is a much higher importance at 21% for small companies versus large and medium, it's only 7%. They already have a strong brand. It's not going to be about marketing, but a small company has to be scrappy. They're out there marketing. Interestingly, too, smaller companies are more concerned with regulation and compliance. I think that's because the local business owner is on the hook, and so and these bigger companies already have massive compliance platforms. But really, really interesting. And then and by the way, here's the here you go. Here's what that looks like. This is the survey: large, mid-size, small. You can see how it changes. Really, the mid and large are similar, but the small is definitely very different. And that gets us to the last point that I think we want to pay attention to in this survey, and that is, if cost cutting is your goal, where are you looking to cost cut? And the answer is, by far, 59% of companies are going to do cost cutting and back office staff. Second response is G&A expenses at 35%. And then there's a tie for number three between back-end processing technology and loan officers. And that's pretty much highlights where that's almost all the cost cutting in those four areas. Now that's drastically different than previous years. The last few years, G&A expenses was number one by 65%, where this year it's only 35%. And back office staff wasn't as high of a priority. So really interesting. But for the cost cutting, well, you see what it looks like. Here you go. As I said, back office staff, G&A, back end processing. Really interesting data from the Fannie Mae Lender Sentiment Survey. I will put a link to the survey in my notes below. It's not actually a link directly to the survey. You're going to have to click through to get to the survey. I did do a LinkedIn post on this today with a lot of this data in my LinkedIn post. I do quite a few posts a day. If you like information like this happens to be about lenders. Usually it's about lending or the market or economics, whatever it happens to be. I hope you're having a great week. I really appreciate you giving me some of your time, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.